you to all of the presenters, but in particular the ACT government, who every time I've been here, you guys have been here supporting the event, so very well done. I know that you have a difficult job already. To take this out of your personal time is very important as well, as it is for the others. But one of the things that kept coming up for me, each one of you said something that has become part of my mantra for dealing with life and stress. The thing that kept coming up for me was this sense of cognitive dissonance. And one of the problems that I find myself dealing with endlessly is this cognitive dissonance. And if I can give you some examples, my brother-in-law always says to me, if you lower your expectations, you will have a much happier life. Yet, I actually believe that if people live up to their expectations, so if you have low expectations of people, they tend to live up to those. Yet, if you have low expectations for yourself, it's cognitive dissonance. You see my point now? I suppose there were so many different ideas of giving in, and there's in the Japanese art of Aikido, they talk about giving in to get what you want, which is another form of cognitive dissonance. I'm just wondering, to what extent is this sense of cognitive dissonance a cause of stress that we actually get better at dealing with age, that we're not really taught to deal with through our education system, which is right or wrong, true or false? To what extent does this sense of helplessness and cognitive dissonance impact our ability to deal with stress, particularly before we reach our 40s? Thanks.
Thanks, Michael. I think that's probably something that each of you might want to answer briefly, or any of you.
Thanks, Michael, for that. I'll have what your question made me think of was my belief that in the area of relationships anyway, or in maybe, except in science, there's no right answer. And truth is really hard to find. And life is a combination of science and art and beauty. And the more information we've got, the more confusing it gets. The more that we need to reach out and the more we need to ending up being kind to ourselves and trust ourselves. In the end, we do die alone, and it's our life that we're trying to make the most of each moment, as John was reminding us. All we know we've got is exactly right now. So, and we're all trying to do the best we can at this very second. We take all that information in, so it is cognitive dissonance because none of it is agreeing with anything else, but it's all food for us to then make the best decision we can and to be kind to ourselves in the moment and be respectful of everything we do has an impact on people in the room that we're here now. So we're respectful of what we need, what they need, and we're kind in, yeah. So they're the sorts of things. There's no right answer.
Thanks, Michael, for your participation first. I'm not sure whether this will be a direct answer to your question, but just additional comment to what you have said. I personally believe that it is not a matter of lowering your expectation, but be realistic about your expectation. At this age, I cannot set an expectation for myself to be the Prime Minister of this country because I'm not in a politics. And I know it's impossible. So there's a radical acceptance as well, what I can do, what I cannot do. It also tells us that the success is not the only story of life. Failure is also a story of life, but unfortunately we hardly teach our children how to embrace failure as well, face failure as well, because we always give our kudos for the good things, success. So it's a matter of shifting your mindset.
I'm actually very into lowering expectations. I think it's a very good strategy. But I think there are different ways of thinking about this. One is that when I talk about lowering expectations, I'm primarily thinking about expectations for the world in general. That is, if you expect that you're going to live forever, that you're going to become Prime Minister, that you're going to have lots of money and lots of sex and things like that, and that's going to make you happy, you're probably going to end up being disappointed. But that doesn't mean that you have to think the same way about yourself. That is, I set very high expectations for myself and for my own performance. but I have no illusions that there's anything that I can do that's going to fundamentally change the way the world is. That is, the world is going to be basically the same as it was before I was born. It's going to be, basically the same after I leave. And the same is true of when I work at my job. I try to do the best I can at whatever role I'm playing at a particular time. Recently I was in charge of our PhD program, and I did the best job that I could during that time, but I have no idea what's happened since then. I've decided, I'm not going to worry about whoever takes it over, whether it becomes a mess or whether they do a better job of me than not, because that's out of my control. So I think that, when I talk about lowering expectations, there is a sense of being able to take control of what you can. And you can also, there are also percentages. Like, for instance, I figure that by doing the best job that I can, if something comes along where my job gets canceled or something like that, I'm in a better position to get another job, maybe even a better job. Whereas if I say, oh, there's no point in working at all because, the world is hopeless, then it's very likely that things are going to turn out to be hopeless. So, I think you can control to a limited extent. You can at least play the percentages. But there's no way you're going to live forever. There's no way you're going to make the world a better place than it is. It's pretty much going to be what it is, I think.
For myself, I think probably having a balance of expectations is a good thing. Just try to hit that sweet spot somewhere in the middle. Coming to the idea of cognitive dissonance, I think with the increase in the amount of information that everyone is dealing with today, I think it's more likely than ever that in order to sort of survive the world, we're going to have to hold multiple ideas and potentially contradictory ideas in our head. And I think it's true that often young people struggle with this. It's also been suggested at other times that older people potentially struggle with changing their ideas and ways of thinking. I think to address both of those points, there's a lot of evidence now to suggest that brain neuroplasticity is something that is happening and can happen at all stages of the lifespan. That is, sorry, I'm probably being a little bit technical. Brain neuroplasticity just means that we can change our brains and we can change the way we think all the way through our lifespan. And as to young people, it's certainly true that as our brain is developing, it can be difficult to process information. But young people certainly can be helped to do this. And I think it's worth pointing to a couple of programs, the Mind Matters and the Kids Matter program that are run in primary and secondary schools in all across the country, and we have really excellent uptake of that program here in the ACT that is helping our children to develop resilience and skills for managing their emotions and managing their relationships, and I think the more we invest in this sort of thing, the better things will be.
All right, thanks all of you for that. Thanks.